Ladies and gentlemen, there is a strange kind of magic in the word hope. It's soft, yet it shakes the ground beneath your pain. It's invisible, yet it paints colors on the grayest canvas of your life. I want to talk to you about something that can't be touched, can't be measured, but still carries the power to lift a broken soul hope. Not the kind that waits for miracles, but the kind that creates them. There was a time, a long, dark time, when I thought my life had ended, not because I stopped breathing, but because I stopped feeling alive. I lay in a hospital bed, my body shattered, my dreams dissolved into silence, and my reflection unrecognizable. People came and said things like, "You'll be okay, it happens," or the worst one, "Move on." But you see, when your world collapses, moving on isn't the answer. The answer is moving through pain, through grief, through fear. And to move through, you need only one companion, hope. Hope doesn't scream, it whispers, "Try again." It whispers, "You are more than your scars." It whispers, "You are allowed to cry, but never to give up." There is a kind of beauty that only pain can shape, a strength that only struggle can teach. I used to believe that strength was about how much weight you could carry, but strength is really about how much you can let go and still rise. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, perfect bodies, perfect lives, perfect smiles. But the most beautiful people I have met are the ones who have suffered deeply, yet they smile, not because they've never cried, but because they chose to wipe their tears and hope anyway. And that is the power of hope. Hope doesn't mean you won't fall again. It means you'll rise again better. Hope is what teaches you to dance with your demons until they become your angels. Hope is what tells you that your story isn't over, it's just getting started. So to anyone listening who feels like they've reached the end, I want you to breathe. I want you to know that endings are often disguised as new beginnings, that the most broken chapters can give birth to the most beautiful lines. That your pain has a purpose, and that purpose begins with hope. Don't wait for someone to save you. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Be the calm in the storm. Be the light in the darkness. Be the hope in your own story. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever become is hope for someone else. There are moments in life when the noise of the world fades away, not because everything is peaceful, but because the chaos inside becomes deafening. It's in these moments when you are left alone with your thoughts, your doubts, your broken pieces, that silence becomes heavy. It is not the comforting silence of calm, but the oppressive kind that settles like dust over your heart. In that stillness, fear speaks first. It shouts, it points fingers, it shows you everything you've lost, everything that went wrong, every failure etched into your past like permanent scars. Fear tells you that you are finished, that nothing will ever change, that the person you once were, the dreamer, the believer, the one who smiled easily, is gone for good. Fear has a loud voice, and when you're already down, it echoes in your mind like a cruel melody on repeat. You start to believe it. You start to accept the darkness as your new home, but somewhere beneath that noise, so quietly that you might miss it at first, something else stirs. It's not dramatic. It doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It doesn't demand your attention. It simply whispers. It whispers softly, like a mother to a child, "You are still here." It doesn't deny the pain. It doesn't erase the reality. It simply tells you that there's more. That whisper is hope. Hope is not blind. It sees your tears. It feels your shattered spirit, but it refuses to believe that this is where your story ends. Where fear says, "Why me?" Hope asks, "What now?" Where fear holds you hostage to your past, hope gently pulls your gaze toward the future. Even when the future is unclear, blurry, unpredictable, hope dares you to imagine that it could be better than today. It doesn't need to scream, because it speaks directly to your soul, the part of you that still wants to live, to try, to rise. Hope is the strength you didn't know you had until you had no other choice but to use it. It's the moment when you decide to take one small step, even when your legs tremble. The moment you choose to smile once, even when your heart aches. The moment you speak, when silence has been your shield. In the silence of pain, hope becomes your quiet companion. You don't notice it all at once. Sometimes it comes in the form of a sunrise after a long night. Sometimes it's a message from a friend that simply says, "Thinking of you." Sometimes it's your own reflection looking back at you, not with pity, but with quiet determination. That is hope whispering. And the beautiful thing about hope is that once you hear it, even once, it plants something deep inside you, something that fear cannot touch, a seed. And even though the soil of your heart may be dry, cracked, or tired, that seed waits. It waits for the moment you're ready, The moment you start to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're not done, that maybe you still have something left to give, something worth fighting for, something worth becoming. Hope is what allows people to rise from ashes, not unscarred, but undefeated. Hope is what gives meaning to suffering, not by erasing it, but by transforming it. Pain carves space inside of you, space that hope can fill. That space becomes a sanctuary, a place where you learn to carry your wounds like wings instead of weights. The world often sees vulnerability as weakness, but hope teaches you otherwise. It tells you that feeling deeply, breaking openly, and rising slowly is strength of the rarest kind. Hope is for the ones who sit in darkness and still dare to dream of light. It's for the ones who have every reason to give up but choose not to. Even when your body is broken, when your dreams are deferred, when your image of yourself no longer matches the mirror hope sees you whole. It doesn't wait for you to be fixed. It loves you right there in your mess, in your doubt, in your fear. It holds your hand when no one else can, not to pull you forward, but simply to remind you that you are not alone. Fear demands proof before you act. Hope requires only belief, and belief is not always loud or certain. Sometimes belief is sitting on the edge of your bed, tears in your eyes, and saying, maybe tomorrow. Sometimes belief is just breathing one inhale, one exhale, and choosing to stay. That choice is everything. That breath is resistance. That whisper is power. You may not see the results of hope right away. It works quietly. It strengthens your inner world before it changes your outer one. But day by day you begin to notice, you begin to move, you begin to heal, not all at once, not without falling, but with each stumble you rise a little taller. And while fear waits for the silence to make its move, hope is already there, whispering gently, persistently, faithfully reminding you that even in the deepest silence you are not empty, you are not lost. You are becoming. Every person walks through life with invisible battles stitched into their soul. We all carry wounds, some etched deep into the skin, others buried even deeper into the heart. The world often teaches us to hide them, to cover the pain, to smile even when it hurts, and to pretend we are untouched by life's brutal edges. But the truth is, scars are not the marks of weakness. They are the signs that we have lived, that we have fallen, and most importantly, that we have survived. Scars are not just remnants of pain, they are symbols of endurance. They speak of nights when you cried silently into your pillow, mornings when you didn't want to get out of bed, and days when everything felt heavy. They are reminders that you have walked through fire, through loss, through betrayal, through disappointment, and you came out on the other side. Not the same, not untouched, but alive. Changed, yes, but changed doesn't mean broken. Changed can mean evolved. Changed can mean reborn. We often look at scars and think of shame. We think of what went wrong, what shouldn't have happened, what we wish we could erase. But imagine for a moment if we saw our scars as stories instead of stains, if we saw them as chapters in a book of becoming instead of evidence of failure, because every scar carries a narrative, one of pain, yes, but also of courage, of strength, of healing. The most beautiful souls I have met are not those who have lived perfect lives. They are the ones who have faced the worst and still choose to be kind. They are the ones who have walked through storms and still offer shelter to others. Their eyes carry depth, their words carry weight, and their presence carries peace. Not because life has been gentle with them, but because they have made peace with the fire that once tried to burn them down. There is something sacred in breaking and rebuilding. When life shatters you, you begin to see what is truly essential. The noise fades, the distractions disappear, and what remains is the raw truth of who you are. That rawness, that moment when you are stripped of pretense, stripped of comfort, that is the moment of rebirth. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. Rebirth comes quietly. It's when you look at yourself and choose to start again, even when the past still lingers like smoke in your lungs. Scars are the aftermath of that decision. They are the result of choosing growth over giving up. When a wound heals, it does not return the skin to its original state. It forms a scar stronger, tougher, more resilient. Likewise, emotional scars fortify the soul. They teach you boundaries. They teach you empathy. They teach you who you are when everything else is stripped away. We live in a world obsessed with perfection. Smooth skin, unblemished lives, smiles without stories, but perfection is sterile. It lacks depth. Real beauty is textured. It's in the lines around your eyes from all the laughter and all the tears. It's in the tremble in your voice when you speak the truth. It's in the courage it takes to say, yes, I've been hurt, but I'm still here. That is beauty, that is power. Never let anyone make you feel that your scars make you less. They do not diminish your worth, they prove it. Every scar is a battle won. Every scar means you chose life over silence, love over bitterness, and faith over fear. Your scars show that you have faced the darkness and did not let it swallow you. They are the proof of your strength, not the evidence of your weakness, and while others may look at you and only see the surface, you know the truth. You know what it took to get here. You know the nights you spent rebuilding yourself piece by piece. You know the moments when it all felt like too much, yet you stayed. You know the weight you carry and how gracefully you've learned to hold it. Your scars are sacred because they hold the story of your rebirth. Sometimes we think that healing means forgetting, but healing is not erasing. Healing is remembering without reliving. It's looking at your scar and feeling gratitude instead of grief. It's realizing that the pain did not destroy you, it transformed you. You are not who you were before, and that's okay. You are becoming someone deeper, wiser, more rooted in truth. And in this journey of becoming, your scars will become your strength. You will find yourself drawn to others who carry their pain with grace, who speak not from a place of perfection, but from a place of truth. You will find that your story can be a lantern for someone else still walking in the dark. Not because you have all the answers, but because you dared to keep walking. Pain has a way of isolating us, but scars connect us. They remind us that we are not alone, that we all break and we all heal. And in that shared humanity we find purpose, we find meaning, we find the courage to tell our stories, to lift each other up, to become a voice for those still learning how to use theirs. You don't have to hide your scars. You don't have to apologize for them. They are part of you, but they do not define you. They are not the whole story, but they are an important chapter, a chapter that shaped you, a chapter that proved your strength, a chapter that marked the beginning of your becoming. There comes a point in everyone's life when you look around for someone to help you breathe again. It might be in the middle of heartbreak, in the aftermath of loss, in the quiet pain of feeling invisible, or in the suffocating weight of expectations. In those moments, you don't need big answers. You don't need perfection. You just want a sign that things will be okay, that you will be okay. You want someone to understand, someone to see you, someone to remind you that even in this mess, you are not alone. That search for hope is not always loud. It can be subtle. It might look like scrolling through endless quotes hoping something clicks. It might be staring at the ceiling late at night, your chest tight with questions. It might be smiling in front of others while silently pleading for someone to notice the sadness in your eyes. In those quiet struggles, you long for a hand to reach out, not necessarily to pull you out, but simply to say, I see you, I've been there, you're not crazy, you're not weak, you're human. What no one tells you is that often, the person you're waiting for, the one who will save you, the one who will lift you, is already here. It's you. You are the hope you once searched for. Not the fully healed, always confident, never afraid version of you, but the real, imperfect, still, rowing you, the one who has walked through fire and is still standing, the one who cried and still chose to show up. The one who didn't know how to keep going, yet took one more step anyway. When you realize that the hope you were seeking is something you can be, something you can embody, everything changes. You stop waiting for rescue and start becoming your own refuge. You stop searching for the light and start realizing you can become it. You can speak words you needed to hear. You can offer compassion you were once denied. You can extend grace you were never given. That transformation doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. To be hope is not to have all the answers. It is not to walk without wounds. In fact, it is often the wounds that make you capable of carrying hope for others. Because when you have sat in the dark, you know how powerful even the faintest light can be. When you have felt invisible, you understand the value of being seen. When you have faced despair, you know that sometimes just knowing someone else gets it is enough to keep breathing. Being hope doesn't always look grand. It can be as simple as listening without judgment. It can be holding space for someone's silence. It can be writing words that say what others are too afraid to say. It can be choosing kindness when you've been met with cruelty. It can be showing up for yourself again and again until you learn how to love the reflection in the mirror, not because it is flawless, but because it is real. You can be hope by being honest, by saying, I've struggled too, or I don't have it all figured out, or it's okay to fall apart. There is beauty in that kind of truth. There is freedom in admitting that strength isn't about always being okay. It's about choosing to keep going even when you're not. That kind of honesty heals, it connects. It opens doors where walls used to be. The hope you once searched for wasn't a superhero. It wasn't someone with all the right words. It wasn't someone who had never failed. It was someone who made you feel less alone. Someone who looked at you and didn't try to fix you but simply said, "You matter. You are enough. You are allowed to be here." Now you have the power to be that person, not just for others, but also for yourself. Sometimes being hope means loving yourself through the dark seasons. It means giving yourself permission to rest. It means not abandoning yourself when things get hard. It means treating your mind and heart like sacred spaces, not battlefields. You become hope when you stop waiting to be worthy and start acting as if you already are, because you are. You always have been, and when you live with that truth, when you carry that kind of quiet confidence, you become a mirror. You reflect what is possible. You don't preach, you don't push, you simply are. Your presence becomes a reminder that healing is possible, that being soft and strong is not a contradiction, that broken does not mean worthless, that scars can be beautiful, that people can rise. The world is not changed by people who have never known pain. It is changed by those who have been through it and choose to turn it into purpose. People who carry their past not as chains but as wings. People who say, "If I survived it, maybe you can too." Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. That kind of hope doesn't fade, it spreads. You don't need to be anyone else to be the hope you once searched for. You don't need to erase your past, hide your flaws, or pretend to be untouched. You simply need to be willing to show up, to be present, to tell the truth, to hold space for yourself and for others, to remember that what broke you once can also be what builds you now. To trust that even when things feel meaningless, your life still carries meaning, even in the silence, even in the waiting, even in the becoming.